What up, family? I'm going to speak on something on a more serious note tonight. And it just was sparked by some conversations and some things I've seen lately. And it just has a lot to do with the way human beings in general seem to perceive each other. At some point in our lives, what's the best way to explain this? We go from curiosity to cruelty. And it's a learned response. And sadly, it's learned from those around us. A way to explain it best would be this. I'm at the Quick Trip, which is a local gas station here. And a little kid looks at me and, he just kind of says quietly, "Oh my gosh, Mom, that man's really big." And the mom shushes him and shh. And, I said, "Don't worry about it. He's just, he's 3 or 4 years old, Maybe he'd never seen somebody my size." So, to him, that was something new. It was a curiosity to him. It was something that he was curious about. So, he wasn't trying to be mean. It wasn't to be rude or to point out my flaws. It was just simply something new to him, and that is curiosity. Well, sadly, it comes to a point where curiosity goes one of two ways. It either becomes acceptance or it becomes cruelty. And cruelty, again, is a learned response. It's like being a juggalo, being able to say, "Hey, I don't care what you look like, who you are, what you're about. I'm willing to accept you because you are you." And that's the acceptance part. Unfortunately, the larger portion of the world doesn't get acceptance. The larger portion of the world turns to cruelty. Trolls on YouTube are a prime example. They're cruel just for cruelness sake. They do it to get a rise, they do it to get a laugh, they do it for whatever sick, twisted fucking things they do in their mind. And the saddest part is that things like that, where it's just downright mean and cruel and vicious on purpose, it's usually because they're so miserable with their own lives and so miserable about who they are that they have to lash out at someone else because they feel if they do that it somehow makes them better. And I think that is where cruelty comes from, is because you're not, when people are cruel, they're cruel because of their own flaws. So if they can find a flaw in you that's bigger or worse than their flaw, they're not just going to point it out, they're going to focus on it. Prime example, you'll notice all the fucking trolls on YouTube. For me, it's that I'm a fat guy. It's, "Oh, you're a fat ass, and you're fat, and fat. And that's all they fucking post. Why? Because that's the only flaw they can find in me that is worse than what they consider their flaws. There's a couple of them that try to, meth head this and stupid shit that isn't true. The only true insult they come up with is my weight. But it's because it's the only flaw they can find to try and make themselves feel better. So it's a stage in life. When you're young, when you're a child, you're curious. You see people of size, of color, who are different. Like with my son being disabled, he's getting to an age now where before it didn't matter. It didn't matter. It didn't bother him. But it's because he didn't the kids around him were the same age, so they were curious. They weren't cruel. And now he's really starting to realize he's different. And I pray to God, because he's such just a wonderful little soul, that they're not cruel to him. But kids are going to be cruel. I hope that me and my mother, before it even slipped much, me and my ex-wife, I hope that we've given him the tools to be able to deal with that. Because I'm sure it'll happen. But his personality says, it doesn't matter. But again, it goes from curiosity to cruelness, And I think if people would learn to teach kids that are curious about why, like with the kid I said that, or the kid's mother that I said that to at Quick Trip. I told her, I'm okay with it. I understand that he's just curious. And I told her, if more people took the time to explain to him, well, he's a big man, yes, and he's different, yes, but that doesn't make him any less of a person. If she took the time to explain that to him, which I hope she did, that solves a lot of problems, And like I said, I think a big portion of, being a juggalo and feeling accepted is the fact that we do look at it that way. That everybody's different, but none of us need to be cruel to each other. So, I don't know. I hope that all made sense. I know I ramble sometimes, but I just wish that people would learn that when you step from curiosity into cruelness, there's not a valid reason to do so, other than you're miserable about your own life. So point out what's miserable about mine. Peace. Much family love.